So, hello YouTube, across the nation, around the world. We're on Harvard, West Harvard, Roseburg, Oregon. And I'm gonna head home. Just fueled up. Guess I'll reset my odometer. Usually do that when I fuel up. So anyway, some red hair. This road will take you on out to Melrose Road. It runs along the river, along the South Umpqua. But I think I'm going to try to avoid this road. I'm going to go down it today. But I'm going to show you, I almost hit a deer on this bike last year on that road. And the reason I'm going to kind of avoid this road is because there's brush right by the road. You can't really see off the road when you're by the mountain there. And lots of times deer cross that road to get to the river to get a drink. And most of the time, those deer don't really even pay attention to traffic. They just dart out across there and hope they don't get hit. That's how most deer operate. But there's a few smart ones out there. Last year, I was riding down there going probably 40, 45. Wasn't going real fast, but still. And you're going through the shadows. It was in the middle of the day. We're in the evening now. It's almost 6 o'clock in the evening. But this was in the middle of the day. And I was riding this direction. And you can't really see in the shadows. You know, you got sun and shadows, sun and shadows. And next thing I know, I look up and there's a deer in the road. And there's no time for me to really do much of anything. I mean, I could have... Luckily, the deer was smart enough. The deer saw me coming. And he stopped and waited for me to go by. I could have reached out and touched that deer. It was that close. Thank God that deer was smart. Sometimes I think I got an angel looking out for me. But this road's kind of bad because there's part of it when you're along the mountain there, it's just so brushy you can't see if there's a deer there. And there's a deer sign right here. It says deer. So I think I'm going to kind of try to avoid this road on a motorcycle. One time we were headed down this road with my daughter. This has been 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And my daughter was giving me a ride into town here, and she took this road. And I said, watch out. I said, be careful, watch out, there's a lot of deer on this road. What does she do? She hits a deer. She didn't hit it very hard. She probably could have avoided it altogether if she would have hit her brakes a little harder. But she did actually hit the deer, knocked it down. It got up and ran off. Didn't really hurt her car too much. But, and another time I was with a friend in a Bronco, an older Bronco, and we were cruising down through here. It was in the fall, around deer hunting season, and he was cooking right along about 50, 60 miles an hour. And he didn't see it coming. Deer jumped out in front of him. He nailed it. It was a buck, busted the horns. There was pieces of horns laying all over the road, killed the deer. pushed the radiator into the fan, so it disabled the vehicle. If you would have been on a motorcycle, that would have been a bad wreck. So I'm gonna go pretty slow down here, and I'll show you where most of the, I think where I saw the deer was just right down here though. See how you got these shadows from the trees? Even in the middle of the day, these trees hang over the road. Kind of makes it nice and cool and stuff. It's kind of a fun road to ride down. But you got the river right here. You got thirsty deer over here. And sometimes they just jump across the road. I think it was right in here where that deer was crossing. I can't exactly remember. I think it was right in here somewhere. And I got lucky that day. But anyway, I'm going to take it kind of slow through here, kind of be ready to hit the brakes, just in case. But see, there could be a deer anywhere in here, and you wouldn't really see it. Not a friendly girl. Pissed off. And another time I was driving through here and there was a wounded deer, a couple of deer, and the deer was laying on the bank right here. I was going to shoot it. It was laying on the bank here, got hit by a car. And I was going to shoot it, and I called the sheriff's department. And I told them they asked me if I had a gun, and I said I did. And they were thinking about just telling me to shoot it, which I would have if I would have been out away from houses and stuff. I would have just shot it, put it out of its misery, but they sent a sheriff out, take care of it. But this is not a good road to go blowing ass down on a motorcycle. And see, here it gets bad here again, right here. You just don't know. Right here's where we were in the Bronco when we hit that deer. It was right here somewhere because we stopped at this house. That deer was, I think we hit it right here. Little buck. But you just don't know when a deer's just gonna dart out of there. I've never seen them going this way, but if they go this way, they're going that way too. And there's a bank, you can't see over the bank, and once they decide they're gonna go, they just go usually. But it is a nice road, it's shady and cool, it feels good. It's kind of fun to ride down, but boy, you better watch for the deer. See how brushy that is? My daughter knows a lady that lives right up here on the corner, and she had a cougar on her roof. Probably because there's so many deer around, and wherever you're going to see deer, there's going to see a cougar. But right here, there was a cougar sitting on top of her roof. So we're now on Melrose Road. I probably could have made that. We just got off Old Melrose Road. Now this is Melrose Road. Pay attention to these roads a little bit more now that I'm talking on the camera. Well, I talked to Andy today. He's talking about this wreck up here, and I guess that guy's really in a whole bunch of trouble. He's not only is he in intensive care, if he survives it, he's going to be in a lot of trouble because he was either, I think he was drinking, and when I saw the story on the news, I thought it was probably right here is where I thought it was, the wreck, but it's up here a little ways further. can't run around scared to death all the time, but you gotta keep in mind. See, that pickup came out of his lane and went into their lane. And that could happen to a bike too. There's the wreck mess right there, but there's shit all over the place. But that could happen just as easy to a bike as a car. Apparently he was messing with the stereo or something on the pickup and didn't realize that he was going out of his lane and had a couple of beers maybe. That's all it takes, man, and you lose a whole bunch of your life in prison. Not to mention the people that you just killed. This bike doesn't feel as smooth to me as it used to, and I can't really put my finger on it where it's coming from, whether it's engine vibration or maybe a wheel bearing or the shaft drive. It just have a little bit of rumbling in the handlebars that I don't remember being there. Maybe it was, and I just didn't notice it. SL 1200 has a little bit of get up and go too. Kind of reminds me of those bikes, police bikes, Chips. Remember Chips? Those Paunch and John and Paunch, motorcycle cops that show. Yeah, you probably don't remember that unless you're 40 or 50 years old. But kind of reminds me, this bike kind of reminds me of those bikes. But actually this is a lot newer than those bikes. Those bikes were air cooled. This bike's liquid cooled. I think they were 900s or 1000s. This is a 1200. So Bill Watts wants me to come up and help him move some cement. I don't know if I want to ride my bike. He's got a lot of dirt road up to his house. I don't know if I want to ride my bikes. I wish I had that DR350 still. I would kick myself in the butt for selling that bike. That bike had a strong motor. It just sucked off-road. It was kind of heavy and the suspension was too soft, and it wasn't much of an off-road bike, but I would have loved, that would have been perfect for going up there. I wish I still had it. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Catch you later, guys.